Welcome to Today, Plan Tomorrow. I am Voluke Olayele with Hand in Hand Consulting, and this is where we talk about money, not just the math, but the mindset, the habits, and the heart behind how we spend, how we save, and how we steward what we've been given. That's important. Stewarding. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Leslie Olayele, a mother of three children who are navigating the early stages of the entertainment industry. And let me tell you, this is not just about red carpets and auditions, although we do talk about some of that. This is about protecting your child's earnings and preparing for any unpredictable industry stuff that comes up and making sure your child prospers long after the spotlight fades. Leslie is here to share a parent's perspective um, on financial planning, budgeting, and protecting children's earnings while navigating a cutthroat industry that can be as financially rewarding as it is risky. If you're a parent whose child is entering the entertainment industry, or they're considering being in the entertainment business, whether it's acting, modeling, singing, dancing, content creation, you need to know three things: how to protect, how to protect your child's earnings through Coogan's Trust, contracts, and the representation, how to prepare them financially for the ups and downs of the industry through budgeting and planning, and how to help them prosper, how to help your child prosper long term by building wealth and teaching financial education. Because your child might be the talent, but you are the financial protector. And if you don't know how to protect their money, someone else will take it. And we don't want that. So, Leslie, welcome to the podcast. Let's talk about how to
Thank you
protect,
for having me.
prepare, and prosper. Yes, ma'am. So, I want
Mhm.
you right off the bat to tell us who you are. Who is
I
Leslie
am
Olayele?
I am Leslie Olayele. Yes, we do have the same last name.
Wait,
I am
what?
married to Foluke's brother. Um, and I am a mother of 3 children. My oldest just turned 11, and they are in the entertainment industry. I have been told for years, "Oh my gosh, they're so cute. Put them in." And I didn't have the time to do it. I become a stay-at-home mom within the last few years, and so I decided, "Hey, I kinda got the time to do it now." I do think it's a great time because I have the option to take them everywhere. I can take them on auditions, but my main focus when I first started them in this was the financial side and wanting them to understand how money works as children, so having savings accounts and all that kind of stuff, but being able to use that money later. So even if they are not some, world famous superstar child actor, whatever money they can make off little projects that they do, I wanted them to be able to save that money and use that money moving forward. So that was my main goal when I did this and started working with them, and also to help offset some of these other sports fees and things like that too, because soccer and basketball get expensive. So that's another side of it.
That is very true. So you have your hands full with three kids. How old are they?
Mhm. My oldest is 11. I have a 9-year-old and I have a 6.5-year-old.
Oh,
This
okay. All
She's
right.
the real star of the show. 2 boys and a girl, yes.
Okay. Are they all in the entertainment industry?
All are signed up, they all have agents. So far, the boys are the only ones that have done any significant jobs, and that's just because my daughter is at, like, a interesting age.
She's
We all
okay.
joke that once they see her, she's gonna be the star.
Very, very good. And how long have they
Yeah.
been doing this?
We actually signed with our agency, in November 2024, so we've been doing it for just over a year and a half,
Okay.
or about a year and a half, basically, just over a year.
Okay. So you told us why you wanted to get into this industry, offset
Mhm.
some cost, um,
Yes.
maybe even getting these kids to like learn what work is.
Exactly.
Any other reasons why a parent, some people kind of dabble. Should I not? What are some of the
Yeah.
reasons that you would say, yes, absolutely, get your kids in? front of a camera, on stage, and
Yes.
paid, right? What are some of the benefits for it?
Exactly. Some of the benefits, my oldest is he's very much so like myself. He's gregarious personality. He just oozes like personality. When he gets on, when you see him, he is energy personified. So I always was just like, hey, we live in LA. That's kind of a thing that people kind of just go, oh, maybe I can get my kid in a commercial or something like that. And so we've always just saw his personality and wanted to be able to let him have a different outlet for that.
Okay.
He actually now has also started his own YouTube channel. He is not on camera on his YouTube channel, but he creates content that way. This generation of children, that is what they do. They like content creation and all that kind of stuff. So I was just like, yeah, okay, we'll let him. That's another hobby that he has. And so we've allowed for them to do that. He's been in a couple of videos, he's been on like YouTube channels with other people. So it was just more so of a, hey, this seems kind of fun. Let's let them try it out. No one's expecting you to be a superstar, but it's fun. It's an industry where there's so much stuff that you could do, not even just on camera, and I feel like that's the best opportunity for them to see that too.
That is awesome. And as you're exposing them and you're, identifying the benefit for him to literally express himself. And why not, right?
Mhm. Yes,
Why not let himself be himself and then get paid for it? That's
exactly.
great. What about the not so good parts, right? Because we're going to talk about protecting them financially. Is there a need
Mhm.
to protect them in other areas as well? And what does that look like?
Yes. So there are a couple of ways. One of them is just emotionally, because my middle, he is very black and white. So if he tries out for a role and it's like he doesn't get it, in his mind, I don't ever want him to think that that means he's not good.
Mm,
Because he'll just be like, if he messes up, I'm terrible. And I'm like, okay, you're not terrible. So I'm trying to get this also as a character building thing.
okay.
So I'll tell them, this is a great audition commercial. I just have the personal experience of my kids auditioned for a Super Bowl commercial that we watched at the Super Bowl. And we were like, yep, nope, y'all didn't get that one. But I have to remind them that there are hundreds of kids going out for that. It's
Mhm.
not just you. So emotionally protecting them and letting them know, hey, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. That doesn't mean you're not good. You're also just learning. This is all life happens. People aren't going to pick you all the time for the job that you thought you really wanted, the team you wanted to be on. So I'm trying to protect them emotionally through that. But then when they do get a role, protecting them physically, I'm always on set. My husband is always on set. One of us will be there. There's no one else that is going to watch your children like you watch your children. So I make sure that I'm there, my husband's there. Now, just thankfully, because of the way laws have been set up, you really cannot leave a minor on a set by themselves anyway. But it's always me. It's always my husband. It's one of us that are going to be there to make sure nothing's going on. I've walked away like 50 feet and my son is like, Mommy, where are you at? I'm right here. I promise you I'm still here. But I want to make sure that they're protected all the way around. So financially, we'll talk about that, but I am physically present. I make sure that their emotions are protected through, mistakes, or if they do something. We've had a director one time kind of be a little harsh, and I had to say, hey, okay, he's 10. Like, calm down, give him a little bit of space. He'll come back and he'll do it right. And he came back and he was fine. So, you know, you- that's what you have to do as a parent, is protect them wholly.
Hmm. That is awesome. I love that there are laws that are protected, but you also
Hmm.
understand, like, it's your kid.
Yes,
Like, everything that's going on, and they know how to talk to my child. All of that is so, so, so
exactly.
important. Okay,
Yes.
so financially, do the
Mhm.
kids know how much money they're making? How involved are they in that conversation?
I actually am very upfront with them, and it's mostly because that's usually how I get them to do an audition, is I go, "So, you know what they will pay you?" Especially my oldest
Numbers.
is very, "How much money are we making off of this?" Because he wants it to, like, outfit his computer and, like, get his YouTube channel off the ground and all that kinda stuff. So he needs the numbers. He needs the brass tacks, as they say. He's like, "Okay, so how much do I make?" And then I but from the beginning, we also told them we had a rule of how money was going to be, received. So when he gets paid, 30%, his first paycheck, we let him take the whole paycheck because we're like, "Hey, this is your first job. I want you to understand that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I got my money." But then we told him from there on that there was going to be 30% put into a savings account, 30% put into um like debit account that we would manage with them. And then 30% was going to go to mommy and daddy because mommy and daddy are the ones driving you there, taking her, like, so we all have our, and what people don't realize is you still have another on top of that. 15% was taken out before you even saw that check. So we have multiple accounts that we're going to be able to have, that we navigate. But I told them early, this is how money works because mommy and daddy still have to feed you. Mommy and daddy still have to drive you. We have to get gas in the car. How is this? I'm doing a job when I'm driving you everywhere, and other people will take that money out too. So we've been very upfront with them about how money works and then how this time, like when you get a paycheck, this is what paychecks look like. You have to start managing your money. So they're very aware of it so far.
Awesome, awesome. And that concept of pay your staff, and if your staff includes a driver, right? A custodian to watch you on
Mhm.
set, then that literally is your staff member. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad to hear that you are not devaluing your own presence and your own role and
Mhm.
making sure that there is literally a salary for the number one staff member that makes sure you've got a job.
Yeah.
So there
Because
you
the chef, the
go.
custodian, the driver, we do it all. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Now, what else do you want to tell us? We've talked about the protecting. How do you
Mhm.
protect them financially? What does that look like if there's anything that we've missed?
Okay. So for protecting, and this is one of the things that it's a law and it came into effect because unfortunately there was a child actor who he made a lot of money and then his parents basically spent all his money, and by the time he got to adult age, he had no money left because his parents had used all the money
Mm.
to finance their own dreams and do their own stuff. So there's now the Coogan's Trust, which is an account that is set up for any child actor. Like if you actually book a job, you have to have a Coogan's account and a entertainment work permit before you can even do almost any job in acting, in modeling, all that kind of stuff. Those have to be set up first. And so the Coogan's account basically is 15% of whatever their paycheck is put immediately and directly into this account. The account is in my child's name. I have to set it up. I have no way to touch that money. I cannot touch that money. They're the only ones that can touch that account. I can't take any money out of it. I can put money into it. So when we decide, okay, when he gets a check and we say we'll put 30%, you can add to that account. You cannot take anything out as a parent. And that is one of the biggest protections for children. And as a parent, I totally understand how there is, because you are the one who's taking them there and doing stuff, people can go, well, I should get a little bit more. But this is to make sure that your child, even after all of this is done, they have that small portion of that check. that they've gotten, especially if they are millionaires, they get that small amount of money. They get that money and they're able to keep going with their life in whatever direction they want to go in. But that's the main thing you want to get set up. If you're thinking about entertainment, get a work permit. The second you get the work permit, you can go and get the Coogan's account.
Awesome.
Any bank, you may not see it on their website or anything like that, but you physically go in, you have to bring in, proof that you are the guardian, their legal guardian, that you can set the account up, but you go in. It took me about 45 minutes to do it for my three kids, and I had their work permits, I had their birth certificates, was able to get them set up and got the account started. And you can start them with like $10, $15 sometimes, but that money automatically goes in there, and that's the blessing, is you don't have to do it yourself. It's not like, "Oh, I get the check and now I gotta put 15%." That 15% automatically goes there.
That's awesome. Would you say a
Yeah.
Coogan's account is like a custodial account?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's basically, yeah, it pretty much, it's making sure it's a trust.
Yeah.
So they can't, and honestly, they can't even take money out of it underage. It only bears out once they are adults. And so that's to make sure that parents aren't taking any money out of it by saying, "Oh, my child wants to take the money out." No, no one gets to touch that account. It builds. Everything is put into there. And then once your child is of age and hits the legal mark for the trust account, then they are able to take the money out. But then at that point, you are no longer on your name. It's in my name technically, but it's my child's account. I cannot touch it. So I really did think that was a great idea, because I wouldn't want to take my kids' money, but I understand how people have done that before.
Yeah. The temptation. So the
Yeah.
custodial account, the Coogan's Trust, is literally protecting the money from the parent
Mhm.
and even from the child. So that child
Yes.
can say, "It's my birthday. I want to, this $10,000
Yeah.
party for my 12th
Yeah.
birthday," or something like that. No, no, no,
Mhm.
no. This is going to be protected until you are of age to make such a decision as to what to do with the money, until your frontal
Yes.
lobe, fills in
Mhm.
a little bit more. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Very, very good. What else do you want to tell us in regards to the entertainment industry, preparing the kids, preparing yourself
Mhm.
for this?
I don't know with every state how it works, because we are in California and we have the film and movie, TV industry. I know a lot about understanding kids getting work permits, missing school, and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of preparation needs to be had around making sure you have the work permit, because you don't have to pay to get a work permit. The only time you have to pay is if it's at the basically like the last minute. If you say get booked for a job and your work permit had expired a couple of days ago, you have to pay them
To rush it.
for that. So that's another preparation, is making sure you constantly have those work permits updated so you're not in that. We had to do that. Thankfully, we didn't have to pay and we got it expedited, but you can, that's money that you're throwing out on the table
Yeah.
because you forgot to do it on time or whatever.
Yeah. So
So you
I'm
want to
a huge
prepare for
fan.
those type of things.
No, I was gonna say I'm a huge fan of planning. So planning what people don't
Yes.
understand, planning saves you money. So if you could be aware of when something is due or what is due, and you can take the steps right now, that literally
Mhm.
saves you, whether it's $50 or $500 in
Mhm.
expenses in the
Yep.
future, because you now had to rush, rush, rush. So rushing costs money, planning
Exactly.
saves money. Yes. Okay. Keep going.
Exactly. Yes, so that was my thing, is making sure to remember when all the work permits were up so I could have the dates. So, because they're 6 months, so I have to make sure every 6 months, about 2 weeks ahead of time, go ahead and submit for those new work permits, because they take a couple of weeks. And then another preparation is their schools. I would not have most likely put my children in this industry if I did not see that they could still be okay with missing days of school, because this year alone, both of my boys missed almost a week of school because they were doing a film shoot, and I had to prepare. Thankfully, we're in LA, so the district is aware, so they make time for that. They have teachers on set that help. I get their teachers in their classroom to give me work. My kids usually are testing ahead of everybody, so I also get my own work that I found in workbooks. So they'll get mad at me. My teacher didn't give me work. That's nice. Here's the workbook that you're going to still be sitting there looking at while you're waiting for an hour for them to reset the scene. So that's the other preparation, is understanding if your child can be away from school. Can they be away from school? Is that okay for you guys outside of the financial gain? How is that? That's the other, protecting them socially, protecting them educationally. So if you know your child probably should be in the classroom most of the time, then they shouldn't be on a film set. Or, if you can't, if they're not prepared for that yet. So I think I was happy to wait a little bit longer. I didn't put my kids in when they were like 2 and 3, because I wanted to make sure if this is something they wanted to do, they would be prepared. So they have very, their personalities, they know who they are, they're confident in themselves. They can go out on that set, they can do it, they can do their work, they can come back and go do a test at school and be fine. So that's the other thing in preparation. The other side to it that people don't see a lot is understanding that.
Awesome. Okay. Is there anything else we talked about preparing them, even physically? You wanted to make sure that they were old enough, right? Like
Yes.
physically mature, able to,
Mhm.
follow instructions. That's important,
Yes,
depending on what
that
it
is.
is that they are filming. You talked about protecting them emotionally. You talked about
Hmm.
protecting them even socially, making sure that they have everything together for school. They still are hanging out with their friends, so it's not as if they're
Oh,
missing out
yeah.
on their social life. They're still in sports. You're
Mhm.
managing. I know. Um, um, what about, we talked about financially? What about spiritually? I always like to touch on all points.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes. And so that's been interesting because I know, like, as a child, for me, we went to church every Sunday, but the way things work in the world, especially with sports, there are times where we are going to have to miss church. So what we try and do is we still get them into different things at home, which, I mean, of course, that's how we grew up as well. And so we pray every time they are on a job. We pray before we go on. We pray before we go inside. We pray that they are calm. We pray that they are ready and can receive any information. One of the big things that was very interesting for me is we booked a music video, my oldest, and we had no idea who the artist was. And that was very discomforting for me because I'm like, okay, so I don't know. What are they singing about? What are they rapping about? What is, found out a little bit later what it was. And I was a bit concerned because we had already booked it, but we were on set. But one thing I did appreciate is that the director said, because my son was the only one on there that was under the age of 18. Everyone else was an adult. He was playing the child version of the artist. And he said, we don't play the song at all. And so later we kind of heard what the song sounded like, and it was kind of like a haunted house. And we had prayed before, and I said, whatever spiritually is happening will not touch my child. We don't know what this is. We prayed over it. They made sure that he had no, like, he literally is just a face that they use for a part of the song, and they actually cut the song out when he's in that particular part of it. So he's not even, there's no even background singing. And so we were like, oh, okay. The artist came and met him and talked to him, and just even he was so sweet. He fed into him, he talked to him. And so we always just try and say, I don't know what the rest of these people do outside, but when we're here, God's ear. And so we pray, and they every time we've gone in anywhere spiritually, it's shown up. People tell us as we're leaving, say, "You guys were so sweet. Oh my gosh, they were such kind kids, and we've never seen children that like act this way. They were so poised and confident." But I always say that's because I pray us in and then we pray out. As soon as we leave, we pray. I don't know how the rest of this set is going to go for anybody else, but we're praying, you know, we're praying a peace, a calm every time we're there. And so that's what I try and do is just give that to them because in this industry, it's going to be a lot of stuff that you may not think you want to be a part of or you're going to see. But sometimes, especially with music videos, they won't tell you the artist. You get no information ahead of time. You could sign up for something you never expected to. And so I'm like, because it's a job, you said you were going to do it, you're going to do it. But what I do tell them is you don't have to be a part of whatever it is in the sense of if it makes you uncomfortable, we'll leave. And I told the people when I came, I said, I'm telling you, I said, I don't know who this artist is. I want to make sure that we're all good to go. The artist and his entourage, as we left, were the sweetest people. It was definitely a rap video, and it definitely looked like it turned into a regular rap video after we left. But he was so nice and so kind to us. And they were just like, it was peaceful when we were there. And that's what I always want to tell people. I
Yeah.
bring peace with you, and it will stay there.
That
And
is
that's what I tell the kids.
That is awesome to know. And I love the respect too that it seems like the industry is being sensitive about protecting the kids. Like we're not
Mhm.
playing the music at all. That this child doesn't need to hear the music. There would be none of no, but it's also good that you are present to enforce and communicate that. So even if they were
Mhm.
going to, make an exception and just like, no, 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 no,
Yeah. Let's
not
let's
for this
hear what
child.
it sounds like.
We're not
No.
That's awesome. What about the
Yeah.
ups and downs in the industry financially? Like, I can imagine that not every paycheck, every
Mm.
opportunity is the same amount of money. Like, how do you prepare yourself, but also the child for the financial ups and downs? This one may not be as big as that other one, but I don't know. How do you do that?
Yes. I just and I think that's because we've never led with you're doing this to get paid.
Mm,
In a sense, you're doing this to pay for us, to pay for our family. Like I don't and I think that's how you get a lot of these child actors that have talked about feeling like the breadwinner at like 13 in their families because their parents quit their jobs and now you're the one who gets paid and you're the one who makes money for the whole house. So we don't lead with if you don't get this job, then we don't get paid, and that's why we try to treat it that way when we say putting money away, saving it. We don't want to treat it like a paycheck in the sense that it goes into the household so we can all get paid off of this. It's just like, oh no, that's your money to go put in your savings account. Put in your wallet when you decide you want to grab, something. So what we try to lead with is just explaining to them that yes, okay, the first job you had paid you $200. It was really cool. Oh, you could possibly book this Kohl's commercial for $5,000. Oh, that's different. So just explaining to them that everything's not the same. It's not going to always be the same. And then even explaining amongst the children, yes, this one got this job and you didn't, especially with our boys, because they look so similar and are at that age where they're 2 years apart. So they kind of go up for the same role sometimes. They get annoyed when one gets picked and the other one doesn't. So you have to explain to them that's how it works. People, you know, you might get paid for this job. You may not get as much money for this job, but it's exposure. So we just try not to, in my opinion, not to make it a big deal. If you don't make it a big deal, it's not a big deal to them. So even sometimes I'll tell them, you sure you don't want to try out for this commercial? Because it looks like it'll be really cool. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm like, but it could but I don't feel like, okay, we have never made it a big deal. So they don't really not they don't care, but it does not motivate them in that way
Yeah.
to where they're worried about, oh my gosh, I can I get this job and do we need this money and that kind of thing. So money is essential, but we try not to make it a thing that a 10-year-old, a 11-year-old has to worry about in this house. Mommy and daddy worry about the money. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's extra. I think one thing
Yes.
that is a good principle to live by, especially for kids, even if they are in school, is learning to master something, right?
Mhm.
So they are doing, whether it's a YouTube video and they're learning how to do a YouTube video, not to become the biggest YouTube star, but simply to get
Mhm.
good at it and get better at it and
Exactly.
then to master it. So then it becomes really seamless. It's just something that is easy for them, whereas other people may struggle. But it's easy because they've been doing it so long and so consistently well, right? Like they practice doing the
Yes.
right thing over and over and over again. The same with
Mhm.
the commercials or any of the filming that they're doing. It's
Yes.
easy for them because they've actually practiced it for a good year, whereas other people
Yes.
haven't even gotten started. So they know how to walk onto a set. They know how to shake the hands of an adult. They know where they're supposed to sit and how to study and focus on their schoolwork, even while there's a whole bunch of other things going on at the same time.
Mhm.
They literally have
Yes.
practiced it so well that it now seems easy. So
Yes.
I think that's a great lesson. And if they focus on simply getting better instead of focusing on the money, the result, they will ultimately get the result. They will ultimately
Yes.
get the money
Exactly.
because they're now the best at what they do. So hopefully
Yeah.
that's what's happening. And in another year, they'll be even further along than where they are right now.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yes, and that's really good. They're definitely mastering that skill. And that's a different thing. Like I said, I wanted to prepare them to be around adults, around grown-ups, how to navigate, how to be in position that way. And they do such a good job of it. They're so well mannered. They go in, like you said, they know how to shake a hand. They know when to say this, when to say that. They know how to just, sit. Of course, in my house, I think, oh my gosh, they're crazy and all over the place and running around. But when they go in public, they know how to sit down. They know how to sit on a couch and just stay there and then wait until someone guides them over. So that's the other thing. They're listening, they're paying attention, even when you think they aren't.
That is a great skill to have, absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
preparing them to prosper, what does
Mhm.
that look like on the back end where or the front end, where it is that you're taking them? What does prospering look like in the business industry, entertainment business?
Prospering would be them being able to use the money that they gain through this whole process. Like I said, I'm not expecting my children to turn into like Nickelodeon and, YouTube stars and all these people. What I'm expecting is that when they turn 18, 21, they got a little bit of money that they made over these last, few years and are able to take that money and use it to do whatever it is that they would like to do down the line. We want them to use the money that they have and invest it in other things. We want them to have that same type of future that that other children get in a different way. I don't have a bunch of like student loans. My parents mostly paid for my college out of, scholarships helped and all that kind of stuff, but what didn't help with or what we I didn't get with scholarships, they paid because their thing was I want you to come out of here with a clean slate. They would always say though, if they'd had the option, they would have set me up with more accounts and savings and all that kind of stuff even before that. So that would put me in a different. So I want them to be able to use whatever money they make in these years that they do this and take that and, you know, catapult off of that. So I want them to have something to start with because I know so many kids have to work through college, have to do that. I want them to be able to enjoy college, do whatever it is they want to do. My oldest wants to be a paleontologist. So he gonna be going to school forever, it feels like. So I'm like, if this is what you want, then use the money to do that. I want them to have the option to do something else. If one of them wants to go into a trade school or do something, they want to build a business with that money because, okay, I don't necessarily care about college, but I have this business idea that could work. So I want them to have the financial ability to just move around and not be stuck in one place.
Yeah.
I want options and financially having that gives you options.
That is awesome. So literally prosperity, what wealth looks like for these kids is options. And that honestly is something that people, when you don't have money, you don't have options. Like that
Mhm,
is so clear. But when you do
mhm,
have money, you have options. You can choose trade school or college, go for your master's or not, start a business.
mhm,
Like those are options that other people may not have when you need to have money on the table, like food on the table,
mhm,
right? Like you need money in your bank account. But when you have money in your bank account, and it's being invested because it's been sitting there in a custodial account or Coogan's Trust, right? You have the money that is literally making money for it could
mhm,
be easily a decade for these kids, over a
mhm.
decade. 10 years
Yep,
of money, making money, making money, making money. So when you're ready to spend it, you have options as to how you want to spend it. And you've also
exactly.
developed the work ethic to know how to make money, and you've
Mhm,
also developed the social skills to know how to talk to people and engage with them and collaborate. This is
yep,
great. Wow.
yes.
Look at the kids. Look at them go.
I know. They're doing great, and that was one of the things is I didn't realize how much it also shows them all of the options because not just being in the industry isn't just acting. It's not just the on-camera talent.
Mm.
There are people in the background that make a whole lot of money just standing there with a boom mic, and they're just, like, standing there they looking at their phone. All they gotta do is hold the mic all day. That's it. Or they put the little tape out to make sure everyone's exactly where you're supposed to be because we got the lighting just right here. That's what I've also tried to show them is you don't always have to be the on-screen talent. Do you want to be a director? You could be a producer. Do you want to be the sound engineer and mix and make sure we're getting the sound? So they've gotten to see all different aspects of different types of sets. And that's what I think is really important too, is that's another thing of giving them options. You're showing them all of the different jobs that people have that most people don't even know exist. And if you knew that that was something, you might have gone into it and have a pretty good living. So they've been enjoying that too, meeting the other people, talking to the other folks. We've had fun.
That is awesome. The exposure, literally
Hmm.
being in the room, right? Too often
Yep.
we don't even not everybody even gets invited to such a room. So to be
Hmm.
invited for an audition and then to make it and then to be exposed to the people who are um filming the commercial or the movie or whatever, on stage performing, that is phenomenal and a great
Yeah.
benefit to having your kid in the business, the entertainment business. So, what is it that you want our listeners to take from this podcast?
My main thing would be as soon as you are done listening, watching, get a savings account for your child. Whether that's your child is in the industry or not, having a savings account at this age is so beneficial. That I still remember the day my parents took me into Union Bank and got me my first savings account when I was 10 years old. And I will never forget that. It was inside of Ralph's. We went into the little bank and that's what I've done with my kids. We walk in, they have that experience. I want them to see what a debit card looks like. But that would be my thing is start exposing them to financial planning at an early age so that they're prepared. When I got to college and those people kept trying to like give you a credit card for a pizza, I knew this is a dumb idea. This doesn't make any sense. I'd call my mom and she's like, girl, now you know. Okay, nope. Not she was like, you don't need pizza that bad. I will give you $10. Go buy a pizza. Like you're not getting pizza for a credit card. So if you expose them to the financial stuff early, they have an understanding of it and it doesn't become scary and then people are avoiding it. I think too many adults get into it because nobody taught them what to do. So they get into something and now they don't know how to get out of it.
Right.
And so I would say, get your child a savings account, show them what a debit card looks like. Even my son has a debit card. He can't use it for nothing. I'm the only one who can use it. But he knows what it looks like now. He opened an account. He sees where his money goes. I show him the bank statement every month. So you want them to be exposed financially to different things. And that's the easiest way to get them started. Get them a savings account, put $50 in there and run it up, or let those savings sit there and hang out for a while. You'll be very happy in the end.
Awesome. One of the things that you mentioned also that I want to make sure the listeners caught and
Mhm,
also are able to teach their kids is the concept of ratios. And kids
mhm,
actually can understand that, and it's gonna be very important as they increase their financial literacy. You told them, "Okay,
mhm.
15% automatically goes into your Coogan's trust account. You can't touch it, I can't
Yeah.
touch it," right? But then there's
Mhm,
30% that goes to mom and dad, 30% that goes into your savings account, and 30% that
mhm.
goes into, like, your checking account, like your debit card, right?
Yeah, like a checking account. So they can use that 30% is yours. That's
Yeah.
your money. You
The
wanna
other
go buy a Robux, you
yeah,
know, 30 to 40, a
yeah,
third.
right, right.
But you wanna buy Robux with it, you can do that. But so you do have spending money. I want you to have that, but we're gonna save a large chunk of it, and
Yeah.
like I said, mommy and daddy get a large get a chunk, you get a chunk.
Yes. So literally having those percentages, the ratio
Mhm,
that I like to teach people is to right off the top, give 10% to God because we don't
mhm,
have any of the skills that we didn't give it to ourselves, right? So
yes,
give
mhm,
10% to God, but I also encourage people to have the money to enjoy, which is where the 30% that
mhm,
you're telling them, so they
yes,
enjoy making money. So then they
yeah,
actually want to make more money. So I think
mhm,
it's so critical that they have those percentages upfront at that age that they understand that no matter how much, whether it's $200 or $2,000, the ratios
mhm,
work the same. So they're not
exactly,
that pressure of a lot of money, a little money. Oh, it's just, no, no, no. We still know
yeah,
exactly what to do with the money. So
mhm.
very, very
Yep.
good. Any other call to actions? Anything else that you want them to do, or how do you want to close this up? Wrap it up with a
Nothing else. Like I said, my main thing is get a savings account for your child. Help your child develop financial literacy at an early age because I promise you, me being a person who I wasn't perfect even once I did, but my parents showed me what to do with money at an early age. And so even though we were not rich, I knew and I went into life. I went out into college, into the world as an adult with an awareness because I was taught at an early age what to do. And it's so beneficial. I just want other people to have that for their kids cuz like I said, I'm not trying to take my kids' money. I don't need that. That's not my job. I want my child to once they leave this house be able to be financially set up to do whatever makes them happy. And that's what I think all parents should be kind of striving towards is to be able to do that.
prosper with options. That's what we want
Yes.
for your
Amen.
kids as well. So I love it so very much that you are here with us today, Leslie.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending the time with Hand in Hand Consulting with the podcast today, Plan Tomorrow. Now, for the listeners, if something in today's conversation spoke to you, don't just listen. Take one action, one small step, one seed planted, because that's how transformation begins. I am Foluke Olayele with Hand in Hand Consulting. Today, plan tomorrow.